Something huge is happening with tariffs, and the corporate press is missing the plot as usual. They're stuck debating personalities while the federal government quietly rakes in record customs revenues and rewires the entire economy in the process. This is not a footnote, it's the story. Tariffs aren't just a policy now. They're becoming a revenue machine, a political weapon, and yes, an inflation story rolled into one. Start with the basics. Treasury's own ledgers show customs duties exploding this year. As of late summer in fiscal year 2025, the US had already taken in roughly 165 billion from tariffs, more than double last year at the same point. That's not a rounding error, that's a fiscal shock. Independent modelers back it up. Penn Wharton budget model estimates that from January through July alone, the new 2025 tariffs generated about 80.3 billion before tax offsets, as the average effective tariff rate jumped from roughly 2% in January to nearly 10% by July. That's not politics, that's math. Yes, Budget Lab goes further. By early September, the tally from the 2025 measures was closer to 88 billion, with August posting an eye-popping monthly surge. Their broader projection: these tariffs raise serious money now and meaningfully affect prices and growth. Translation: the cash is real and so are the consequences. Meanwhile, on the ground, even a government shutdown won't stop the flow. Customs and Border Protection will keep collecting duties regardless. The tariff spigot stays open. In Washington, everything is politics. At the ports, cash still talks. Now, what does the White House say? You're hearing a new pitch. Tariffs aren't just leverage. They're dividends. Reports describe an idea for tariff dividend to Americans up to $2,000, literally cutting the public in on tariff revenue. Whether you think that's brilliant populism or economic nitroglycerin, it tells you how central duties have become to the agenda. And yes, the numbers being thrown around are massive, hundreds of billions by year end, if you believe the boosters. But slow down. When you hear claims like $2 billion a day, check the receipts. Fact checkers have flagged those boasts as widely overstated versus actually Treasury inflows. Revenues are way up, no dispute, but not fantasy land up. That matters because credibility is part of economic power. Overpromise and you hand ammunition to the same media that wants this entire project to fail. Here's the uncomfortable reality both sides dodge. Tariffs are taxes on imports paid by US importers at the border. Sometimes foreign exporters eat part of it to keep market share. Sometimes they don't. Often a chunk passes through to consumers. The question isn't do tariffs cost? The question is, what do we buy with that cost? Do we buy time to rebuild industry? Do we buy leverage against predatory trade? Do we buy revenue so we're not borrowing from Beijing to defend ourselves from Beijing? Those are grown-up trade-offs, and we should argue them honestly. Let's talk scale. In 2024, tariffs were about 1.6% of federal revenue. Pocket change in Washington terms. This year is a different animal, with effective rates quadrupling and specific categories like steel, aluminum, and autos carrying strikingly higher levies. Tariffs are vaulting from the margins toward the center of fiscal policy. You can hate that or love it, but you can't pretend it's trivial anymore. And the policy isn't just big, it's targeted. China faces some of the steepest effective rates in decades. For the first time in a generation, America is telling the world's workshop, if you want access to our consumers, you will pay for it, one way or another. This is how you reverse an addiction. You make the drug expensive. Will there be pain? Of course. Withdrawal always hurts. But if you think a country can stay sovereign by outsourcing its factories, its rare earths, its batteries, and its steel, you haven't been paying attention. Now the establishment economists are howling. Prices will rise. GDP will fall. Wages will stagnate. Some of that critique is serious. Yale estimates a short-run price bump from the 2025 tariffs in the neighborhood of 2 percentage points and warns of real household income losses if the Fed does not offset it. That's not propaganda. That's a sober warning. The counter-argument is equally sober. What's the price of deindustrialization? Of supply chains that collapse the minute a hostile power coughs. We've all lived that movie, and it did not end well. Out in the wild, real people, the debate is fierce. On Reddit and across finance forums, you'll see two camps forming. One says tariffs are finally shifting bargaining power back to American workers and raising money without the Congress holding the economy hostage. The other says tariffs are stealth tax that hits the middle class and small businesses first while politicians claim victory on TV. They're both right about something, which is exactly why this fight is not going away. Here's the hearsay you're not supposed to say on cable. The numbers suggest tariffs are now a core pillar of governing, not a side hustle. Treasury prints don't lie. Modelers tracking the flows don't lie. And the political incentives don't lie either. If you can fund priorities, discipline rivals, and look tough to voters all at once, you're going to keep doing it. That's politics one-on-one. Expect more of this, not less. There will be court fights, big ones. There will be carve-outs, exemptions, retaliations, and very creative accounting. But the fundamental direction of travel is set. After 40 years of let China make it, America is rediscovering the nation state. Borders matter, production matters, and energy matters. And if you want access to the world's richest consumer market, you will meet our terms or pay the toll. That's not cruelty, that's independence. Does that mean everything is perfect? Hardly. Any White House that wants to make tariffs a permanent revenue leg needs transparency. No cartoonish daily revenue claims. No mystery math. Publish the effective rates. Publish the pass-through impacts. If you're going to run a tariff dividend politics, then do it with adult numbers and an adult conversation about trade-offs. Otherwise, you hand the knives back to the people who ran this country into dependency in the first place. And Congress, they need to relearn the art of policy, not performance. If this is about national rebuilding, then match tariffs with targeted deregulation, accelerated permitting for domestic factories, and a tax code that rewards capital formation here, not abroad. Use the revenue to harden supply chains, secure energy, and reduce deficits, not to open new entitlement faucets that make inflation worse. If tariffs are the stick, those are the carrots. The media will keep missing this. They always do. They'll fixate on sound bites and ignore the ledger. But the story is simple. In 2025, tariffs moved from the sidelines to the box score. The cash is flowing. The courts are circling. The voters are watching. And for the first time in a long time, the people setting the terms of trade are thinking less like global hall monitors and more like a country that intends to last. This is the part where they tell you it's all too complicated. It is not. Either we keep paying other countries to make the things we need, or we pay a little more now to make them here. And we fund the transition with tariffs while we rebuild. You can argue the pace, you can argue the targets, but the direction is the same. Back to reality, back to production, back to leverage. Tariffs aren't a theory anymore. They're a bill and a balance sheet. And in Washington, nothing gets taken seriously until it shows up on both. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Your support lets me keep bringing you more content just like this. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.